The Three-Body Problem is a 2006 science fiction novel by Chinese author Cixin Liu. It was originally published in English in 2014, with a translation from Ken Liu, who is a very talented and successful author in his own right, and he has translated a lot of really great Chinese science fiction into English. The Three-Body Problem won the 2015 Hugo Award, and I want to say up front that I do think it deserved to win the award. It really is a great piece of science fiction. And a Netflix adaptation is about to drop, created by the showrunners of Game of Thrones. But before I get into the novel, I really don't want to bury the lead here. There is an enormous controversy surrounding this novel, something that I wasn't aware of until I finished rereading it a few days ago. In June 2019, The New Yorker published an interview with Cixin Liu. In that interview, the science fiction author expressed his support for the internment of Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang province. If you don't know anything about these concentration camps, do some research of your own, but because of this controversy, I won't be reading anything else by Cixin Liu. And this video is not intended to be a promotion of the novel. I am not telling you to go out and buy it. I simply reread it recently because the US publisher was kind enough to send me this new copy. I'm grateful to Tor for sending this. I really enjoyed my time reading it, but I just found out about this horrendous controversy, and I'm obviously no longer comfortable with supporting the works of Cixin Liu. But it is my job to read and critique works of fiction, and that's what I'm gonna do here. The Three-Body Problem is the first in a trilogy, and I originally read this book quite a few years ago. There were a lot of things about it at the time that I didn't enjoy. It leans towards sexism, and apparently the sexism gets much worse as the trilogy goes on, although I have never read the second and third books and I won't be reading them now. But something else I didn't like when I first read it was the fact that it was all concept. This is a very heady science fiction novel, and it's great for that, but I was kind of annoyed by the cardboard cutouts that the characters in it are. The fact that it really lacks substance when it comes to characterization and story, and all of that remains true. I've just reread it, and I still believe all of that. Those criticisms stand. However, I must say that this time round, I found myself really enjoying the concepts that lead the novel. This is a dizzying work of fiction, and it really feels like it calls back to the golden age of Western science fiction. Authors like Arthur C. Clarke and Isaac Asimov, as well as Aldous Huxley. Cixin Liu feels like he stands shoulder to shoulder with those writers, their style of sci-fi writing. The Three-Body Problem is separated between two distinct time periods. The Chinese Cultural Revolution of the 1960s and 70s, and a version of modern-day Beijing. We begin in 1967 with one of our two main protagonists. Her name is Ye Wenjie, and as the novel opens, we watch her father, an academic and a scientist, be put on trial by revolutionary students and eventually beaten to death by them. It's brutal and frightening, and she sees it from the crowd. From there, she is banished to a labor force in Inner Mongolia. This labor force are tearing through the countryside to create infrastructure. But very soon, she is offered a weird job because, like her father and her mother, she is a physicist, and a very accomplished one, even though she's only a student at this time, around the age of 20. The job that she's given is at this kind of radio tower that is sending some sort of signal up into space. She's soon told that the purpose of these radio signals is to disrupt enemy satellites. But she's also told that once she accepts this job, she can't ever leave. She is going to be stuck there. Seeing no other kind of future for herself, and I guess relieved that she's able to use her knowledge and her passion in a professional sense during the Cultural Revolution, she says yes. And from there, the bulk of the novel is set in the modern day. Now, almost every single character of importance in this novel is a scientist of some sort, an expert in their field, a genius. It gets a little bit camp and silly in that way. It seems like there are no regular people that exist. And our second protagonist is a scientist working in the modern day called Wang Miao. Wang is working on a kind of microfiber, something that can cut through anything. And so he's somewhere between a physicist and an engineer, I guess. And even though his field has nothing to do at first with what's going on, with the weird conspiracy that's going on that slowly unfolds throughout the novel, he is recruited into this conspiracy nonetheless. And it kind of becomes clear later on why. Early in the novel, Wang is told about a secret society of scientists who pose some kind of a threat to Chinese national security and who are, in all but name, a cult of scientists. And Wang is asked to infiltrate their ranks and spy on them. He really has no idea why, but he goes with it. And he learns things along the way. And it's from this moment on that the trippiest, weirdest stuff starts happening to him. The weirdest and most trippiest of all is the fact that he starts seeing a countdown timer right at the center of his vision. Everywhere he looks, he can see this countdown timer. He goes to his doctor about it, and the doctor talks about eye floaters, and he's like, no, these are numbers and they're changing. It's very, very bizarre. And when he asks another scientist for help, someone who knows what's going on, she simply says to him, keep doing what you're doing. And there's another weird thing that's going on, which is in this version of modern day China, there are virtual reality video games where you have to strap into a whole big bodysuit. And there's a video game called 3 Body. And this video game puts you on an alien planet. A planet with 3 suns. And those 3 suns interact with each other in very chaotic and unpredictable ways. And it's your job as the player to interact with famous philosophers and scientists and mathematicians throughout history to try to solve the 3-body problem. The 3-body problem is a real thing in mathematics and science and philosophy. It's a kind of puzzle about how 3 bodies that orbit around each other interact. I don't quite understand it, but it's about how their gravities move, and it is a chaotic system when there are 3 bodies, each with gravity moving around each other. And it's about finding some kind of formula, some kind of order in this chaos. And as you play through the game, you're solving the 3-body problem, and Wang turns out to be pretty good at it as the book goes on. Now, I take issue with blurbs a lot these days. Blurbs seem to have become my personal enemy when it comes to reading books, because they tell you things that really feel like spoilers. There is one thing I have not mentioned about this book at all yet, and that is, it's about aliens. It's about Earth making contact with aliens, and those aliens coming to Earth, or at least setting off. I haven't mentioned that because the existence of these aliens isn't revealed until about the halfway point, and even then we barely know anything at all. This is all conspiracy and strangeness, cults and cover-ups. A lot of weird stuff goes on until we finally find out this has something to do with aliens. But the blurb gives all of that away immediately. Set against the backdrop of China's Cultural Revolution, a secret military project sends signals into space in an attempt to make contact with aliens, and they succeed. I mentioned Ye Wenjie before, and the weird job that she is given, and that's what the weird job is. But that revelation happens in the second half of the book, but it's told in the first sentence of the blurb. Blurbs! Why are they like this? An alien civilization on the brink of destruction captures the signal and plans to invade Earth. Now, on Earth, different camps start forming, planning to either welcome the superior beings and help them take over a world seen as corrupt, or to fight against the invasion. The result is a science fiction masterpiece of enormous scope and vision. That bit about different groups arguing over whether or not to support the aliens in their invasion of Earth because they think Earth is now corrupt and beyond saving, that is revealed in the final quarter of the book. It's all laid out. I swear, this blurb is about the second half of this novel. The blurb reveals every big twist that this book has to offer. It's insane. Why? If you combine everything I've told you, which was all spoiler-free, with the blurb, you've read the fucking book. Why are blurbs like this? These twists and turns are really, really fun, but they are not the whole book. The most exciting thing about this book is how scientific theories are implemented, and Cixin Lu's undeniably boundless imagination when it comes to implementing things like virtual reality and video games with scientific theory and just really weird phenomena. The 3-body problem is trippy. The things that happen to Wang, especially in the present day, are very, very bizarre, and they continue to really screw with your brain. But all of my initial criticisms when I first read this book like 8 years ago remain. Wang is not a character. Ye Wenjie is not a character. These people do not have personalities. They have jobs at best. They are vehicles for the plot, but the plot itself is more a vehicle for concepts and ideas. And one thing about this book that I find kind of sad, even if it is very intriguing and original and I did enjoy it, is the fact that it is monstrously cynical. This thing that the blurb talks about, where there's a group of people who've made contact with these aliens and want them to come and invade us because they think Earth is beyond saving, it is too corrupt. That is all really, really interesting because it turns this group of scientists into a doomsday cult. But it is so darkly cynical. I'm a humanist. I believe in human nature. I believe in our capacity to be good to each other and to be good for each other. I believe in progress. I am terrified of global warming and I am worried that the end is coming, as so many of us are. But I still believe that we are good. I once told my conservative, Brexit voting, bootlicking dad that I am more patriotic than he is because I fight to make the country better rather than just going along with whatever corrupt politicians tell us. As a humanist and a socialist, I believe in community. I believe in people being good for each other and good to each other. And this book is the opposite of that. The cynicism in it is so intense. The world is doomed because we're all terrible, and so we should let aliens invade and maybe they can save the planet from humanity. It is dark, it is sad. But there is fun in it, undeniably. The idea that there is a doomsday cult of scientists who are inviting this invasion, encouraging it, making sure that it happens, is very, very exciting. And how we get there is really, really cool with this VR game and the theory of the three-body problem and how all of this ties into the modern history of China, the Cultural Revolution. It is all really, really clever stuff. This book brilliantly blends human nature with Chinese modern history, politics, and a hefty dollop of scientific theory. It is trippy and strange. It really lacks the human element in the sense that these characters are not people. They have no dimension to them. But it is definitely a book of lofty ideas, and that's why I think it stands alongside the works of Arthur C. Clarke and Isaac Asimov. In that way, this is an incredible work of science fiction, and I do think it deserved the Hugo Award. I'm glad that it was awarded it. However, I am not recommending this book because of the controversy, because of what Cixin Liu said about the Uyghur Muslims, and I'm not sure where I land or how much I care about watching the Netflix show, so we'll see about that. If you already own a copy of The Three-Body Problem, if you've read it, if you've enjoyed it, let me know what you think. I'm glad to have reread it because I've understood it more, I've appreciated it more, and I enjoy Chinese science fiction an awful lot. However, again, given the controversy, I really recommend you check out the works of Hao Jingfang and Chen Qiufan. Chen Qiufan has written loads of great sci-fi short stories and a novel called Waste Tide, which is really, really brilliant. And Hao Jingfang wrote a brilliant piece of epic political sci-fi called Vagabonds. I actually think I did a video on Vagabonds quite a while ago. Hao Jingfang is an amazing writer, definitely check out what she does. So if you want to support Chinese science fiction, which is undeniably excellent stuff, definitely read Chen Qiufan and Hao Jingfang. But as it stands, I can't recommend this book. I'll simply say that it is an excellent piece of science fiction. Subscribe for books.